The Doomsday Clock began in 1947 as a means to show how close society is to destroying the world with dangerous technologies of our own making.
We have spent more than $2 billion on the greatest scientific gamble in history, and we have won. It is a harnessing of the basic power of the universe. What has been done is the greatest achievement of organized science in history.
As of January 24th, 2023, the Doomsday Clock is closer than ever to the point of annihilation at 90 seconds to midnight. Leading U.S. experts focused on the perils posed by human-made disaster threats like nuclear risk, biological weapons, and disruptive technologies. So how did we get here, and what can we do about it, if anything? From the beginning, the clock was designed by the Science and Security Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists, an organization concerning science and global security issues that have negative consequences for humanity. Concerns arose from scientists involved from the very first nuclear tests. Many who worked on the Manhattan Project had reservations about the power of the weapons they helped to produce and how it might have the potential to end humanity. They went on to establish the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists of Chicago and published their first issue 4 months after the atomic bombs were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. They argued public pressure was key to political responsibility, and education was the best channel to ensure it. While the Doomsday Clock was originally set to 7 minutes to midnight, we are even closer than ever to the brink of civilization. What are some of these dangerous precedents moving us deeper towards irreversible global catastrophe? Chinese President Xi Jinping secured his third term and set his war council in October 2022. Top defense officials have warned that the Chinese military is both rapidly growing its arsenal and its aggression towards Taiwan, an island nation that's considered itself independent despite China's claims as part of its own territory. As China diversifies their nuclear forces, the U.S. reaches a new phase for the first time, where there are two major nuclear competitors in China and Russia. With Vladimir Putin's loose talk on nukes, even Russia's partners such as India and China are worried. Any threat of nuclear weapons in this day and age would undoubtedly set us on the path to destruction. Never mind set back years of treaties and negotiations. Perhaps that could explain why even the Russian president is now backtracking on prior threats. In November 2022, the Russian government said its policy on nuclear deterrence was strictly and consistently guided by the tenet that a nuclear war cannot be won and must never be fought. While this statement helps de-escalate the current situation, there are still many other dangers lurking. The Doomsday Clock was originally set to 7 minutes to midnight. Disturbing world events, such as the Cold War, nuclear arms race, and even climate change have dwindled it down to mere seconds away from doomsday. In 1949, the first USSR nuclear weapons test caused the clock to jump from 7 to 3 minutes to midnight. In doing so, the Doomsday Clock was activated, turning it from a statistic to dynamic metaphor. In 1953, the clock moved forward 2 minutes to midnight after the US and Soviet Union detonated the first thermonuclear weapons. This was the closest to midnight the clock was ever set in the 20th century. In 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis was generally agreed to have been the closest the world had ever come to nuclear war, but the clock didn't move at all. Between 1987 and 1991, the clock reversed an astonishing 14 minutes in 4 years as declining Cold War tensions allowed the great powers a series of international measures for greater protection against nuclear war. For decades, the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists have considered the challenge posed by new technologies such as AI, biological weapons, as disruptive influences to the Doomsday Clock. The atomic scientists describe our current moment in history as a time of unprecedented danger. And as the seconds hand of the Doomsday Clock move even closer to midnight, that all too familiar feeling reappears, which could explain why we are closer than ever to reaching the point of no return. In 2007, climate change was added to the growing list of risks. Fast forward to today, where a huge gap still exists in reducing long-term greenhouse emissions to their pledged levels. The overall worldwide response to the COVID-19 pandemic was also inconsistent. The global distribution of vaccines collapsed, leaving poorer countries largely unvaccinated, allowing new variants of the virus to gain momentum. Beyond the pandemic, it's become clear that the international community needs to focus on biosafety and biosecurity lapses to prevent another COVID-19. All the while, there's an international pursuit of biological weapons programs, marking the beginning of a new biological arms race right now. It is clear that by making the public aware of the risks, we are closer to the resolutions. After all, our survival depends on it.